I'll do the record. Jasmin,
Yeah.
just a moment to make you a co-host. Now you're a co-host, and we can start. So, welcome everybody to our Technology Innovation Management Speaker Series at Nova School of Business and Economics. Today, I have a great honor to introduce you, my how many 30 years friend?
More than that, Blade. More than a lot
Seriously?
more than that. A lot more than. We are getting older. A lot faster
I
getting
said
older.
30, huh? 30. You're not getting that old, buddy. Jasmin is CTO at Next Big Thing, a Berlin-based and then venture creating company. Uh, Something that you can read in the description of the event. But I know that they're making quite interesting things. And Jasmin, we have actually external or opened our technology strategy and open innovation course and invited speakers to the general audience. So you have both students and participants who are in general interest for these things. I would like to invite you to spend 30 minutes on presentation and about 10 to 15 minutes on Q&A. As you have indicated already, people can ask questions during your presentation as well. And just to set up a kind of a protocol, the question will be asked through the chat. Is that okay, Jasmin?
That's also fine to me. If I do miss the questions in the chat, please remind me to answer them on time.
I will do so. So, Jasmin, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you for this warm introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to say a few words about the innovation, about the things we believe are important for this world. And I'm going to say a few words also about why do we think this is important. I hope you're all doing good and well in this strange and different times. At least here in Berlin, situation is getting better. We don't have nice weather outside. It's rainy and gray in Berlin, but we're used to this type of weather here. But I'm talking about other weather. I'm talking about the whole environment, and I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to say a few words about the next big thing. The next big thing is not only the company I'm working for and with. The next big thing is something that we believe is going to change or is changing the global economical situation and the equilibrium and the whole technology, but also economical world positioning of the Europe. So as Late said already, my name is Jasmin Skenderi. I'm the managing director of this company, and also CTO, meaning I'm dealing mostly with the technology questions of building the companies. Yeah. And so therefore my view is more from this technology perspective, but also I'm going to touch the venture building, I'm going to touch the parts of investment, of the how do we build companies, where do we invest, and why do we invest in those companies. Yeah. So I want to start with this. It is a standard slide, but it is important for me to go with the mission, to start with the mission. Yeah. And as I said, between the lines, maybe you've read, we are dealing with that to create more prosperous, sustainable, and democratized world where Europe is the leading innovator. We are talking about Europe, we are talking about innovation, and we are talking about something which you can see on this slide, machine economy. Machine economy is something that we believe is the next driver that we are going to experience. And so what are we? We are a company builder. What does it mean? It means we are building companies. Our products are the companies, normally known as startups. Yeah. And we are building those companies in these three areas that you see here, but they are not that separated as you might think, and they maybe appear on this slide. They are coming all together from left to the right side, from Internet of Things over distributed ledger technologies, normally on mainly known or known through the blockchain, and leading to something that we see as the next, here comes the word, as the next big thing, the machine learning, and even further what we believe is what is coming as the artificial intelligence. So those are the things that we see as the big chance for Europe to position itself again on the global scene. And a bit few sentences that I said before is what we've experienced, and we all know these kind of slides. You all have seen these kind of slides, but we all do have some vision. It's something that we see is going to become the main driver in the future. So we have this area of Intel and Microsoft and Apple, 60s and 70s that we all know, and then the like the period of time that's dominated by the internet, World Wide Web, and Cisco and all the other companies. Then we have the digital mobile world that we are at the moment at, yeah, with drivers like Google, like Facebook, Amazon, and so on. And there is something that comes beyond, and that's what we believe is the world that starts to be dominated by autonomous machines, like the machines that are able to exchange digital assets. And that's something that, and the economy is built on top of those machines. So, and that's something that we call machine economy. And we believe that this is actually the next big thing, not we are the next big thing, that something is to be found in this area. And this is going to be the next big thing, or the overall thing with the machine economy is the next big thing. So why do we do that? So why do we believe in this? Why do we think this is the right thing? So it's not something that we made up here, and it's just something we draw on the wall and we think it's nice. It is something that comes from the global technology developments. It's something that we witness all too, which is the rise of the importance of machine learning, and something that leads to the artificial intelligence. The blue line here that you see, I don't know if you can see my pointer, my cursor here. But the blue line that you see in your screens is something that's known as human-driven technology development. And we see that the human-driven technology development do accelerate over time, and it has some exponential characteristics. But we also see that this human-driven technology development is not going to be fast enough. It's something that we already all witness too. And we witness also this red line. Yeah, the red line is something that is machine-driven technology development. Yeah? And the machine-driven technology development starts somewhere in 60s and 70s years of the last century. But what we see from this curve is that it is accelerating a lot faster than the human-driven technology development. And there's going to be a moment, this point here, this intersection, where the machine-driven technology development is going to be faster and be is going to dominate the world of technology developments. And this is the moment which is known as the moment of singularity, where basically the machines play more significant role in technology developments than the humans. So this part here is, in theory, of science theory, known as like artificial intelligence dominated world, we have this blue line here that we are at the moment at, or we are kind of on this intersection, or approaching the intersection here between the world that is where machines do communicate to each other, but not autonomously. Yeah? And we are entering the world, this should be green, yeah? This green world that we call the machine economy dominated world. So machine learning, domination, artificial intelligence, and interconnection between the machines. So this is something that's coming from the theory of technology developments, and this is something that we see in the future happening, and we are all convinced that artificial intelligence is going to dominate the world. So if we have this in mind, we just say, okay, what can we do about that? And we also want to earn some money, and this is the goal of why do we build companies. Besides the contribution to the positioning of Europe on the global scene, is that we don't do this for charity purposes. We do charity, but we don't do only for the charity purposes. You see the huge numbers on this slide, like the global economy value that is going to be produced by artificial intelligence is a huge one. Yeah? Also, the blockchain value is all the numbers that are coming from McKinsey, for the case you can't see my screen very clearly. We're gonna have, or we have already 12 devices per every human, and it's gonna increase more and more. And in the future, the economies that we're going to be able to build on top of those machines. By the way, the term machine is not only, if I say machine, I'm not saying only the machine that is somewhere in a factory producing cars, for example. If we talk about machines, we talk about digital, say, computers that are able to deliver data. Yeah? And we also know that 70% of the market will come from business to business models. So having all this picture here, we've decided to build a company builder that deals with this whole environment. Again, this picture that's very, very important maybe for all of you to remember as the motivation of the things where they are at the moment and how Europe is being positioned in the world. So 10 most valuable companies, that's all that we all know, but it's still for me important to see this slide from time to time. That 85% of those companies are coming from the USA and 15% of those companies are coming from China. And you can see the percentage that is coming from Europe. Even more, if we look on this slide here, we can of course see which flags are on this slide and which companies do we see on here. None of those coming from Europe. So we believe that we have to do something about that. And we believe that our chance is in our engineering skills, again, technology perspective, and in connection of those engineering skills with machine learning and artificial intelligence. There are more things that we believe in, and one of those is the company building itself. So why the company building? Why do we believe company building is important? So I explained in previous few slides the area where we believe is very important to work at. But also, how do we do this? So the question on how we believe the company building is one of the answers on that. We believe that we have to build a lot more companies here in Europe than we do. We believe that the company building itself should not be something that is, I know, magic or something that only few people knows or something that only few people can do. We believe that we should be able to build companies like from the conveyor belt, a lot more, a lot more. Not only, if you look at, I mentioned cars, if you look at the starting of industry age where the cars have been built by humans and manual work has been done, we only had few of those cars, but once the conveyor belt was invented, and once we've been able to establish and follow the processes of manufacturing, we've been able to build a lot more cars, and we've been able to build a lot more high quality cars. We believe the same thing applies to building companies. So that's why we believe in company building itself. How do we do this? So how is MBT doing the company building? By the way, not only MBT, it stands for next big thing, but also the other company builders. So they provide a whole environment that's needed to build a company. So we invest some money, yeah. We provide engineering, so real engineers building products from early morning to the late evening and working on the product developments. We provide a whole set of the other supports that are needed for building, like marketing, for example, bookkeeping, design, user experience stuff, and so on. We also provide the venture development, so the processes, the business development, the whole research that is needed connected to the, say, customer discovery, to product discovery, and so on. We provide the full operations, recruitment operations, finance models, and so on and so on. So all of those things in one environment that is needed in order to build a company is something that we believe is going to accelerate the company building itself and increase the probability of building a unicorn.
Jasmin, just a quick quick notification that you have a question.
Oh, I haven't seen the question. I'm sorry. For some reason, I can't see them. How
Can I read it for you, Jasmin?
Oh, okay, thank you.
How big of an impact do you think GDPR has on the ability of Europe to have an important part of this field? How can Europe surpass this problem while keeping GDPR values?
Oh, GDPR values, yeah. Well,
so how big
there are two sides of this question. So the simple one would be, oh, okay, this is a problem for us and we have to get rid of GDPR. But truth is, we in Europe here are more taking care of data, of privacy, of people, and that's a value that we've built here in Europe, and that's very important. I think we have to keep it. We have to take care also of GDPR in terms of, and maybe we're going to have some time later, if the time allows. We do take care of data privacy, data encryption, data storage, and so on. So I'm not saying GDPR as really a problem. It's something that we have to take care of. GDPR is even a driver for some of the cases like security that we have for data privacy, for example. Not quite sure if this answers your question. Yeah? So please raise your voice if that's not true or I'm answering in the wrong direction.
Please continue.
Thank you. So just small sentence, I have to accelerate a bit. Where we are, so we are not a VC, not a simple venture capitalist. We are not an accelerator. We are not an incubator. We are somewhere in between. We position ourselves as a co-founder. Yeah, it's a new model. What we are talking about here is a completely new model. What the founder, one of the founders of MBT says, we are writing new books on how to build companies. So that's really thrilling for me to be in this environment and build companies in this area with this methods. So in our team, it's not that we have people that have some nice ideas and read some books and wrote few sentences. We have people with some proven track record here with exits of 300 million. We a lot of built companies with very experienced team and the experts that are able to build companies in this area. So that's also what you need in order to build good companies is expertise, yeah, knowledge. Innovation is the way that we have to follow in order to make a difference. This is how it looks at MBT. It's not really interesting. And this is the kind of a bird's view on the process that we have, that basically consists of the few steps that we start with the identification of the business model. We do market research, we do the customer discovery, the product discovery parts that we all know. And after this stage is finished, we go into the next stage of establishing and building a company. We look for founders, we found the company, we fund the company, and so on. And then the whole services that I talked about do support the company building itself until we have it in our portfolio as a established company. And of course, at the end, those are the rules of the game. We exit the company, and this is how we basically earn the money and finance ourselves. The value of MBT. The value of MBT is not only this simple sum of the portfolio companies that we build. It's the value of the platform that includes the technologies, the ventures, the processes, the infrastructure, the people. Yeah? So that's why we talk here about the overall value. And if we talk about the values, that's what I've heard from Lady. You want to see some numbers. So it's not a lot, still not that we are a unicorn. We are still far away from that as MBT, but we believe that we are on a good way. Current valuation of MBT is somewhere about 100, 120 million. And very shortly in next year, we're going to reach the level of 200 million for the value of MBT, the company. So until we do reach the level of unicorn, we still consider ourselves to be very small, which we are, but doesn't change anything on the vision, the mission, and the things that we do. About the value of the companies that we build. So what's so important in company building, what's very interesting and from the business perspective is this factor of 15x that you see on the top right side. So it means that we are able to increase the value that we invest for 10 to 15 times. Like 15 is really a like high increase of the value. So we do reach this because we invest in very early stage ventures, or we build our own ideas, so build from scratch. And we do invest, if you look at the proportions, very small amount of money and build with that money, having in mind all of the services that we have around, the engineering, marketing, and so on. We do push the venture strongly with all of those services up to the value of 15x. Yeah? And that's where we start to look for someone to exit the company. Yeah? A few words maybe about the portfolio. How many companies do we have in portfolio? Like we are at the moment, we have 10 companies in our portfolio. On now, just right now as we speak, building 3 more, and like by the end of this year, we're gonna reach almost like 20, having in mind this Corona situation and the whole environment, probably 1 or 2 less than that, than what we have planned. But the important thing is that we are still able to build companies even in this stage, and have a rough goal of building kind of 10 companies from this moment on, 10 companies per year. So here's a question, and this curve again. So the question is, which companies do we build? Which type of companies do we build? So we say we do build companies that do fit into this picture. If the technology that we build, the products that we build, do move into this direction, the direction of artificial intelligence, then we do build them. They, of course, must have this few slides before, this 15x curve seen in the business model. But from the technology perspective, the the products have to move into this direction. They also have to fit into a picture of the like the overall strategic picture on companies that we build. So the companies that we build, we look at them as horizontal companies. So those are the orange ones that you see on this picture, and we see the vertical companies. So those that are green ones here. So the horizontal companies, that's the term you're often going to hear, are the ones that do deal more with, in our case, with technologies, with the basics of or the infrastructures that enable building applications on top of that. The vertical ones are more the application-oriented companies that do use the technology stacks that we build with horizontal ones. So still, the companies that we all build, and you can see, for example, here, all those, you can see the direction they all move to. The products have to move into the direction of machine learning. Yeah, this is the direction they have to go. And this is how we pick the ventures that we build. It's not that much dependent on the area, like, I don't know, clean tech or real estate or healthcare. Of course, we take care to build meaningful or impactful ventures, but they have to build this this picture, or weave this picture that we're weaving here with on horizontal technologies and vertical applications. So those are the ones that we do build. And so what's the power of the platform? The power of the platform that we build from the technology perspective is, once you build 10 companies, once you build 15 companies, yeah, you've built so many technologies, you've built so many pieces of technologies that are here represented as puzzle pieces, yeah, that you can easily use and reuse to build a new puzzle picture. Yeah. And so the more we build, the faster we are. The more companies we build, the more technologies we do touch, and more professional we are. And at the end, how we see the technology company building at the end is mostly reusing and adopting the blocks from our standard stack that we are building at the moment. And the stack do consist of not only software parts, but also hardware parts, the embedded software parts, the application, and so on. And this is the power of MBT. At the moment, we have 3 companies that are basically using the same technology stack, the same technologies, but are in different industry fields. And therefore, we are really quick in building this. And this is how we are proving that the company building is the way to go of building the new ventures. You have to imagine if every single one of those ventures would have to deal with building the technologies, they would all have to go the same way, do the same mistakes, and learn through the problems, for example, on how to solve them. But here at MBT, we do it once, and that's the real beauty of it. Because we talked with Lade like an hour ago about an example that I want to give you, I'll just go to this one venture that we are just building, and to show how we do find a small area into or small penetration point into the industry area. Like in this case, we have a company called Conquer that is in buildings or concrete usage for building, like huge buildings that you see on this picture. And it is very small you may think insignificant application, but that provides the infrastructure that is needed to digitalize the processes, and where once you have the infrastructure on site, you can expand, build a lot more applications. By the way, that's one of the strategies that we use. We look at the opportunity space, in this case, building management systems. And in this opportunity space, we look for the penetration point into the space with a small application. The idea behind it is to establish an infrastructure and be able in the future to build a lot more applications. So in this niche application, which I'm going to explain, is what we believe going to be, not a nice word, but kind of a Trojan horse that you can use to expand other applications once you are in the field. So what do we do in this simple case is we measure temperature of the concrete during the casting process of this whole building. And these temperature sensors do measure how mature the concrete is. So how quickly can you start building the 5th, 6th, 7th floor after you've built first 4 floors? Is the matter of is something that is very important for construction sites, because it is time. The construction managers do want to know when can they start to build the 5th floor. And this is what they have. In order to do that, they have to do the maturity test. And this maturity test you can do by in vitro measuring the temperature of the concrete. And there are correlations that say if the temperature goes up and down, and once it reaches that moment, it is strong enough so that you can start building. So basically what we have is a sensor, temperature sensor in concrete that sends us information about the maturity of the building. So that's it. It's very, very simple thing, but very useful thing. And again, very interesting thing is that we install the infrastructure that we can reuse later for other applications. So we open the door for the scalability of the case. So that's just one of the examples that at the moment we are installing the sensors around Germany here. That I want to show you how simple a business can be. Temperature measurement on construction sites, but still how impactful on being faster in building buildings and having technology advantage that other companies that are building don't have. So actually this was or supposed to be my last slide. I don't know how good I'm in time late. I'm just going to look at my watch.
I think you should go a little bit quicker if you can, for about 2 or 3 more minutes.
The point is, David, late. I do have slides, but I would like to finish with this one here.
Good.
And leave some time for questions, because the
fabulous.
Yeah, what I talked about is what do we build, how do we build it, what do we do, and I gave just a short example and very simple but very impactful case here. And I would now be open for your questions if you have some.
So thank you very much, Jasmin. I'm always surprised to talk to you every time you have many more news, and it's congratulations on your success and your the next big thing. So does anybody want to ask a question? You have a chance now, or if not, I will start asking the question.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you hear me?
I can hear very well.
Okay, perfect. So we already had a question about GDPR, and I wanted to ask whether you think that Europe does not have a regulatory disadvantage particularly in relation to artificial intelligence or machine learning. Because, for example, China already collects a questionable amount of data on its inhabitants, and we know that the more data is fed into an AI, the better it becomes. So do you believe that Europe can ever catch up with this gap?
Yeah, we do have a disadvantage here. We have to be very frank and open and talk about this topic. The more data we have, the more we are able to learn. Of course, we have to be careful about that, and that's the difference here in Europe. That's why I'm not so much against GDPR. We have to be careful about data and find technology ways on how to use the data and still not harm the personal, the humans behind the data, yeah? But still be able to collect the data. So it's a level of trust is needed if the technology is really doing that, what the technology is doing. The way here is really to follow the rules, but still collect the data. The middle way that we have to follow here in Europe is slower than the one that is being used in Far East. That's for sure true. And they do have, at the moment, an advantage, but I still believe that the importance of data protection for the humans behind the data is also of importance. So finding a middle way here, that's one of the chances that we have, is maybe the solution. So I'm not against the GDPR. I would like to have more chances or possibilities to collect more data here than I'm blocked at the moment. What can help me are the technologies. Just to give you an example, yeah, we're working on an adventure here, an idea of machine learning on encrypted data. Yeah, so you can build algorithms that, or the infrastructures that do learn from the encrypted data, and hence enable, for example, hospitals to exchange the data on, we all know this example of cancer recognition. Yeah? And so if the hospitals would be able to share encrypted data, then, or the platform would be given, then we would not have any of the GDPR problems and still be able to use a huge amounts of data and train the models.
Okay, so you promote an open innovation approach that people or companies share their information and their data insights, but encrypted, that everybody have the same access on it. For example, I think Bill Gates already said something similar, or Google, that if they are developing an artificial intelligence, it should be accessible for everybody.
Absolutely, I do believe it should be accessible for everybody, but still protecting, as I said, humans behind the data.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, pleasure.
So, more questions, folks? If nobody comes up, I have one or two more questions, depending on time. Jasmin, if I may.
I do. I've reserved time. I have another 16 minutes. Yeah.
No, it's 17, Jasmin. We agreed upon. A quick question is, we talk about technological cycles, about ecosystems and all these things. And now you were talking about investing in technologies. How do you know that a certain technology is investable?
Yeah, basically, I think I had this in those two slides. It's sometimes very difficult to follow the slide.
No, but if you can wrap it up, just
yeah. So basically, we have those two factors. Maybe I'll just try to. So those two pictures here. The one is this one here. Does it really contribute building this world? That's the question. Is it really meaningful? That's what we are building. Is it really meaningful? Can we get the data that can be used to build systems in the future that are going to significantly influence the efficiency of the things that we do. Yeah.
So where are we on this red curve, Jasmin?
We are at the moment. So, yeah, we are at this T0 moment here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you think of companies, how far does their vision idea need to take you?
Yeah.
How do you know? I mean, how do you assess that this is something that will take you to TML or TS?
Yeah, TS is too far for us. It's something that we envision like potentially to happen somewhere in 25 years. Yeah? So it's really far away, but it still helps us. Yeah, still helps us to choose the companies and see, does it have a potential to reach the TS moment? Yeah? The TML is something that we are interested in. That's what we call machine economy. Yeah, that's something that's maybe 5 years away from us. Yeah? And that's quite okay. Yeah, that's what we know for a company to build it, to start, boot up, and so on. You do need something like 5 years, and we do look at that and say, does it have a potential in 5 years to enter the green area? That's what we say. Yeah, and so does it contribute? Does it have a potential to enter the green area? And does it have this factor? Where is it? Here, does it have a factor of 15x? Yeah. So those are basically the questions that we ask.
Do you look for companies that are, or for products that are actually trying to go against the mainstream or to support the mainstream? Is it something that should be disruptive or something that should be sustaining?
Well,
does this play a role for you guys or not?
Yes and not. Mostly depends on is it a horizontal company for us from our perspective, or is it a vertical company? If it is a vertical company, it must be faster. It must be very fast. If it is a horizontal company, meaning technology, then it has to be very disruptive. It has to be world-changing. It has to be something new that does change the world. Yeah. If we are talking about faster-moving companies that do rely on the technologies that are already there, yeah, then we are more not that picky in this area. So we do take them as say, or build them as companies that are able to be quicker than the others. So it depends on the type of the company and the area that we are entering.
Okay, very good. Jasmin, I will just ask our participants, do they have more questions here? Felipe, do you still want to chat or not?
Regarding the GDPR, actually, I understood everything. I think that you answered everything, but regarding the technologies that you invest in, you mentioned that it's technologies that are going to be meaningful for this world and in the long term. But for example, how would you dictate the difference between one that's going to be important for the singularity time that you mentioned and one that's going to be important for the 5 years? Basically, how can you specify a bit what are the technologies that are going to be meaningful? And yeah.
It is a hard question what you're asking. We are always fighting with this question. We are also learning on the way to answer it. Is it really something that we believe in? And just to give you an example, we are working with a company called Weave on something that's called self-healing mechanisms. Self-healing mechanisms are the mechanisms in machines that are able to revive a machine once it is running incorrectly. The very easy example here is if you have autonomous cars driving around autonomously without humans, and it's going to happen very quickly. Yeah? The question is, once someone attacks this machine, like a cyber attack, then this machine as a car, for example, becomes a weapon, very, very, very efficient weapon. So we believe that the mechanisms that are going to enable self-healing of those machines, for example, the machine recognizes something is wrong with me. The machine stops the operation, goes into the safe mode, and rewrites itself. So the attack on those machines is useless. So if we see this technology, we completely believe in it. It's going to be needed for the future world that we are building. Is it something that's needed in 2 years, in 3 years? No, it's not. Because the other security and safety mechanisms that we have at the moment are okay. But we do know this technology is something that the world is definitely going to need the more we approach the red line or the point of singularity. So it's always a special case. It is always something that you look at and you have this picture in front of you, the one with singularity. You look in that picture and say, how is this contributing to it? So there is no silver bullet. There is no easy answer to this question. It is a very good question, but it's the question that we ask ourselves every day.
Thank you. I was just curious on understanding what some of the technologies might be.
Jasmin, we always have this question at the very end because we need to go and jump on our other things. Do you have any internships available, or are you hiring? And does this also apply for people who are from management, finance, and economics? I know this was not planned, Jasmin. Huh?
No, that's a very good question. Thank you for the question. So yes, we do. Yeah. So what we need are people with the energy and beliefs. Those people are normally at MBT being placed on positions of founders, of co-founders, on management roles, of the people that are able to change things. Yeah. And I may believe also frankly speaking, thank you for the question. One of the things I believe these talks are good, maybe somewhere in between you is someone of you has this founder gene hidden inside of you. And if so, I would encourage you to contact me and explore together with me and my team if we do have positions at the moment, and we do have them, that maybe you would like to explore yourself into the role of being a founder or a co-founder of a company. So that's something that I would like. So, on lower, not on that high expectation, maybe lower expectations, analysts, people that understand business are able to write business models, know how this is being done, what's needed in order to build a company, are always also welcome. So those two parts.
Very good, Jasmin. So allow me to thank you on behalf of all the participants here, and I wish you good health and continued success with your next big thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lead. I also wish you all good health, stay healthy, and go well through all of this crisis. And I hope to see you soon, or see you somewhere.
Thank you for being part of the Technology Innovation Management Speaker Series at Nova School of Business Economics. And until we meet again soon. Bye.
My pleasure. See you.